Today on Sugar Spun Run, I'll be showing you how to make homemade marshmallows. Hey Sugar Spun Bakers, Sam here, and today I am so excited to be sharing another carefully tested, well-researched, and perfected recipe. We are making homemade marshmallows, so much better than store-bought and surprisingly easy to make. Now we're going to begin by preparing our pan. You're going to need a 13x9 baking pan for today's recipe, and we're going to go ahead and grease this with a little bit of vegetable shortening. I just like to put my hand in a plastic bag and then just use that to kind of smear the shortening in an even layer around the cake. You just need a light coating or around the baking pan. Now we'll also go ahead and grease a spatula. We'll need this in a bit. So go ahead and grease the end of that and we'll set these two things aside. We're going to need them in a little bit. Next, we're going to go ahead and prepare a dusting powder that we are going to need once our marshmallow mixture finishes cooking. We're going to need for tossing our marshmallows. This is a simple mixture made of a cup of powdered sugar and a half cup of cornstarch. Just whisk these together until they're nicely combined. And for now, we're just going to set them aside. All right, next you're going to need 1/2 cup of ice water, and we're going to pour this into the bowl of a stand mixer, and I like to use the metal bowl of my stand mixer. Next you'll need 0.75 ounces of powdered gelatin. This is usually 3 packets, so if you buy powdered gelatin from your supermarket, and this is plain, unflavored gelatin, and we're just going to go ahead and add this into our ice water. We'll just give this a brief mix, and you may notice that there are little clumps forming in there. It's not going to be a nice smooth mixture. That's totally fine. We're going to just go ahead and pop this back on our stand mixer, set it aside, and go ahead and fit your stand mixer with a whisk attachment. While you could do this with an electric hand mixer, it would be a major arm workout, so I really recommend using your stand mixer with a whisk attachment if you have one. All right, next let's head over to our stovetop, and in a medium-sized saucepan, we are going to combine 2 cups of granulated sugar, 1 cup of light corn syrup, a 1/2 cup of water, this doesn't have to be ice water this time, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and we'll stir everything together until it's nicely combined. Now we'll turn our stovetop heat to just a notch above medium, and we're going to let this mixture cook, and we're going to stir it frequently as it cooks. Now, while you're cooking your marshmallow mixture, you might notice that some sugar crystals begin to form on the side of the pot. Just take a pastry brush and dip it in some clean water, get that nice and damp. I do like to kind of press out any excess water, and we will use this to wipe down any sugar crystals that are forming on the side of the pot. All right, now continue to stir this mixture. You want to stir it pretty frequently and keep watching those sugar crystals. And we're just going to stir it until it begins to come to a boil. Once your mixture begins to boil, you can stop stirring, and you're going to want to go ahead and grab yourself a candy thermometer. I love this digital candy thermometer. I will make sure to link to the one I use in the description. Now I'm just going to fit this to the side of my pot, and you want to make sure that the tip of your thermometer is not touching the bottom of the pot. It should be suspended in the middle of the mixture. We'll let this sit here until the mixture hits 242 degrees. And the nice thing about my thermometer is I can just set it and it'll alert me when I hit 240. That way I have a couple minutes to get everything ready before we get to 242. All right, so once we are near 242 degrees, you want to make sure you have your stand mixer ready with a whisk attachment. The gelatin in your bowl will have re-solidified. That's totally fine. Once you hit 242, we're going to take this saucepan off of the heat. Make sure you take your candy thermometer off, and we're going to turn our mixer speed to low. Now we are going to slowly and carefully drizzle the syrup in a steady stream into that mixer. And we'll just keep pouring until you've added all of the syrup. All right, once you've added all of that syrup, we are just going to gradually increase our mixer speed up until we get on high speed. Once your mixer's on high speed, we're going to let everything mix for about 10 minutes. When your marshmallow mixture is finished, it should be really thick and glossy. Let's take a look. As you can see, it's pure white and it's greatly increased in volume. Now we can go ahead and add some vanilla extract for flavor. And this is a tablespoon of vanilla extract that I'm using today. Now we'll give this another stir until the vanilla has completely combined. It might take a second. All right, now we need to act pretty quickly at this point once the vanilla is incorporated, which is why we prepared our baking pan and our spatula in advance. So we'll go ahead and we'll take this marshmallow and we will use our greased spatula to pour and spread that marshmallow mixture into our baking pan. It's really sticky, of course. And the marshmallow does start to firm up pretty quickly, so you want to start smoothing that out right away. And it's hard to get it completely smooth, just do the best you can. Once you've added your dusting powder, it's going to be really hard to tell if it's uneven. All right, so we have our marshmallow nicely spread in our pan, so go ahead and grab your dusting powder, and we're going to use about 2 or 3 tablespoons of that and sift it over top of our marshmallow mixture. I'm just using my cute little baby sifter today. The important thing is that you have a nice layer over the entire surface of the marshmallows. All right, at this point, we just need to let the marshmallows sit at room temperature for about 4 to 6 hours until they are completely cooled and completely firm. Now, I do have some marshmallows I prepared yesterday so that they would be ready for today's video. So let's go ahead and grab those. Now we're going to need to cut these. So I have a cutting board here, and I'm going to dust this pretty generously with about a tablespoon of that dusting mixture. We're gonna be getting our hands dirty, so I'm just gonna make sure I have a nice layer over the surface of the cutting board. Now grab your marshmallows. If you're worried that you didn't do a good job of greasing the pan, you can run a knife along the edge. I usually don't. And we are going to just carefully invert the marshmallows onto this cutting board that we've dusted. And if yours doesn't come out right away, you can just kind of peel one of the corners and it should fall out pretty nicely. All right, now we need to make these into marshmallow shapes. You can either cut them using a sharp knife or a pair of kitchen shears. Whatever you use, you're going to want to grease that with a nice layer of shortening, or you could use a little bit of vegetable oil instead, just a nice even layer. You don't want to use a lot because you don't want to end up tasting on the marshmallows. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut these. I usually only do 1 or 2 rows at a time. And if you ever need to re-grease your knife or your kitchen shears, that's fine, you can do that. I'm just cutting these into nice, neat little squares. Now we still have our dusting powder, so go ahead and grab that, and we'll drop the marshmallows in that dusting powder one at a time, and just kind of shake them around in there until they're evenly coated with the dusting mixture. And you can tap off any excess. And this will keep the marshmallows from sticking together. Anytime you get marshmallows from the store, you may notice they have this really fine coating on the outside of them, just keeps them from sticking to each other. And that is how you make homemade marshmallows. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's recipe. If you tried this one out, please leave me a comment and let me know what you think. I always love hearing from you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. You see how squishy that is? That's so good.